Eric, it's a pleasure to welcome you at the Horyou Village.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Eric, you have made major contribution in a leading innovative group. All this, is a path, a journey. We are very interested to know what was the dream to convey you at such a contribution right now.
Well, in my case, I started off as a computer scientist, and I like to build computers and platforms. But my real goal is to connect the entire world together. My whole theory is that if you take all the people in the world and you get them talking to each other as opposed to fighting each other, the world will be a safer place. We'll have better growth, better safety, better education, better culture. The globalization and connectivity of this world has been my goal.
To achieve such an understanding, it has to start maybe with some meetings, with some interaction in your youth. Is there a moment you would like to share with us that was one of the origins of this inspiration that animates you?
I think for me the easiest one was in 1991. I was sitting in my office in Sun, and I was absolutely convinced that everything had been invented, there would be nothing new, that the world was very boring, and then the World Wide Web was invented, and I saw the Mosaic browser, and I understood very early that people would be online. I never forecast the scale and effect of what it became, but I remember the day when I said to myself, nothing new will ever happen, and then the following day I saw the browser, and the rest is history.
That is a statement on the creativity of humanity. That is something that you believe strongly, that you have experienced, that you have facilitated to make it grow. Is it something that you are right now believing that maybe we are just at the beginning of a journey again?
I do. In fact, I believe that we are very close to significant new breakthroughs in health, in energy, in education, in transportation, and obviously in computers and networks. I actually believe that the kind of innovation that's going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years will transform our world into a much, much better place. People will be much smarter, people will be much happier, the world will be safer. And the reason is that scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs are busy using technology to solve really big problems in health and energy and transportation and so forth.
The fact to see when we are passionate about something that is very dear to us, when we exercise that passion, we do it, with the interest of greater good. Do you think it's conciliative with as well the mechanism of the capitalistic system that are as well looking to generate profit for continuity? So how do you see, that balance?
Well, I obviously see it as positive, and the simple way to understand this is that Google is free all around the world, and we pay for our servers and our employees from advertising. So that's a good example where you have a free service where you literally don't have to pay for it, but because the advertising is so valuable, our business has done very well, obviously. But what I would say is that when you approach these problems, you have to say, what's new? Let's think from first principles. Let's invent a new solution, right? And a new solution can really solve a global problem now, and we can spread it very quickly. That's the secret. It's not that we're all friends or that we're all smart. It's that people are willing to challenge assumptions. They're willing to actually fight for things, and they see a vision and they try it. Think about self-driving cars. Who would have thought, right? And yet self-driving cars will happen certainly in our lifetimes, if not sooner.
It's about, the innovation for good. That is the driving energy of the creativity. And you believe that we can see that continue and reach a point where it will have a visible impact on the imbalances of our world.
Yes, the way I would say it is that the world is full of very good people who are trying to solve problems in new ways. What the Horyou platform is trying to do is to get those people to talk to each other and to connect them to funders. I can think of nothing better than getting all those people to work together to move the society forward. But what I've learned in traveling around the world is that there's an enormous number of people who actually want to make the world a better place, and they're willing to give up their jobs and volunteer and do whatever it takes, and I salute them.
From our journeys and the travels we are conducting, we are absolutely, seeing that same energy in all social, status, in all fields, So we feel that diversity is one of the greatest wealths and chance for the future of humanity. How do you perceive diversity, and how do you feel maybe we can still make it more and more visible to have a global impact?
But what's interesting is people get older, they tend to assume that everything's the same, they have the same friends, and they don't realize that the world is very complicated, it's very diverse, and with that diversity comes creativity, new ideas, and so forth. So diversity of opinions, diversity of people, diversity of races, sexes, and so forth are the key to solving these problems and the key to creative solutions. I can think of no other way, right? And I think the diversity and the globalization that we've seen is really providing that. The fact that the internet connects everyone, whether we like them or not, is a huge benefit.
Actually, it's really one of the greatest revolutions in our history. It's at this moment, as we speak, the world can be, connected. Do you believe that we can, cope with the challenges our society is, having right now in the not, let's say, ability to understand that we are sharing the same future as humanity as a whole? How do you feel that the decision maker people, how do you feel that the people that have maybe the ability to take decisions and to impact right now the world can understand based and thanks to initiatives that you are supporting and some other people all over the world are supporting? What is your thinking about that?
It's very easy for a political or religious leader to say, we're right, they're wrong, we're better, they're not the same, we're good humans, they're bad humans. But that's in fact completely wrong. We're pretty much all the same. There's very little difference between people around the world. People are creative and interesting, they have religions and so forth. The greatest leaders will see that the strength is in diversity and globalization and openness and transparency. Now, in political systems, often the politicians will have to play to a particular base or a particular prejudice. That's always a mistake, right? Europe, America, all of the world is better off when it's open, pluralistic, and interchange. There are many economic reasons where that's true. There are many government reasons, and there are many reasons to think that there'll be much less conflict as a result. The best story for the next 20 years is 2 billion people are going to move from dead poverty, really, really poor, to what we would think of middle class. That's great. That means that they have a stake in the future of their countries and they want peace and prosperity.
Do you believe that education, through that channel of those 2 billion people that are going to make an evolution, how can you feel that evolution can be really going in a direction of diversity through education and through the innovation?
Well, I always worry about education where you have a religious figure or a political figure who says, our religion is the only way, our viewpoint is the only way, those people are evil, it's bad. The best religion is tolerant. The best religion, the best beliefs are tolerant. They understand that the world is diverse, that people have multiple points of view, that you have to listen to them and you have to accommodate or at least deal with them in most cases. And so to me, what the internet has done is it's made a basic level where everybody has access to kind of the same information. So we all start from the same, but it's very important that the political leaders, the educational leaders, recognize that there's not just one way to look at a problem. People should use critical thinking, they should be transparent, and we'll get a better society as a result.
When we look at the internet as a whole, and we see it as a global, universal platform for interacting, we are as well contemplating some imbalances in some part of the world where we have that digital, challenges. How do you see the ability of, again, decision maker people to understand that facilitating structural investments will be a major step forward, positiveness in their country and globally?
So when I travel around to countries, I always tell the leaders of the country when I visit with them that the single most important thing they can do for their economy is to invest more in broadband, that is faster internets, whether it's wireless or wired. If they want the best economy, they do that. If they want a better educated population, they do that. If they want to solve their political problems, they do that. The key to these problems is better access to broadband for all citizens, whether they're in the cities or rural. And furthermore, now we have cheap technology. You could put fiber in the cities, you can use 4G LTE modems. People have very inexpensive smartphones. In fact, there are tremendous success stories in very poor countries, for example in Africa, where many, many people have smartphones. Google has, for example, just unleashed in India and Indonesia a smartphone which is intended to get to the $100 price point, right, which is much, much cheaper than any of the other choices. And we're working hard to make it even cheaper. So we believe that everybody has a right to a good connectivity and access to a smartphone, and that's how they'll get their education, it's how they'll get their safety, it's how they'll get their economics, and it's how they'll be entertained.
That is a democratization of the access for all. So that might be a way to facilitate that universality of knowledge, of cultures, related to diversity. That's what you are thinking we are going to?
That is my goal, and that is certainly my view. What I worry is that when people who've never had connectivity get on the internet, all of a sudden they find people like themselves and they hate another group, and they don't recognize that this should be a community. And so we've seen situations where the internet happens and people use hate speech and they find each other people who hate and so forth, and that's obviously terrible. So it's not a complete solution. Culture matters, language matters, and governments matter a lot. But I see no alternative to connecting to the internet and participating in this. If you look, essentially all of the countries are now connected to the internet except for North Korea, and that's a special case, and even there's minimum connectivity and it's growing.
It's like, it's a dream coming true. We remember a day where, we were at the time where to speak, we really had, to meet physically. Do you believe that having this facility, this innovation, is something we can find a balance between our real life, our humanity, and the access of digital world?
So people would have said the same thing when the telephone was invented. They would have said people waste their time on the telephone, but today we take the telephone for granted. It's important to remember that in 30 years, we've gone from having access to almost no information and only information controlled by the elites. Over 30 years now, pretty much everybody in the developed world, and in many places in the developing world, more than 2 billion people, have access to pretty much all the world's knowledge. That is a huge change, right? One I'm very, very proud of. And in the next 5 years, we're going to have another 5 billion, 4 to 5 billion people join that conversation. This is a dramatic improvement in connectivity, and it will bring many issues, but it's overwhelmingly positive. And when you talk to people, I'll give you an example. I was with the Maasai in Kenya, and these are people who live in huts, they wear outfits, they have multiple wives and the whole bit. And he has his spear and his phone carrier, and he brings out his smartphone, and he's as proud of his spear as he is of his smartphone. That's connectivity.
For you, the future goes through connectivity,
Yes.
and you feel that the humanistic values
Yes.
can be, in harmony with that.
I do, and especially if the governments allow it. I worry that governments will begin to censor the internet. We've seen this in China, we've seen this in some other countries that limit expression. We want an open and free internet. We want everyone to be heard, and we want the system to be tolerant to criticism.
You believe that this tolerance can be, shared through all the different channels, all the different levels. It is, kind of a global willingness that is in echo with the United Nations. Do you believe that it has to reach that level of understanding so people can understand that, yes, a free internet is for greater sake for everyone?
It would be a terrible tragedy if the internet were split. If there were a Chinese internet and a Russian internet and a European internet and a US internet and an Indonesian internet, that would be terrible, because all the benefits we get of normalization, education, and so forth inure to these much larger networks.
If you look and contemplate the future as a visionary you are, 10 years from now, where do you see the humanity from all of us moving forward? Do you feel that we are going into the right direction?
I do, and I'm very optimistic about this. I'll give you an example. That 5 years ago, no one predicted the smartphone revolution and all the applications. I think it's fair to say that in 5 years, we'll still have very powerful smartphones with a whole new generation of applications that will help us be smarter, to understand better, to make us more efficient, to take care of the things that are boring, and to allow us to be more productive and have more fun, be better parents, better teachers, and so forth. That's a pretty exciting view. It's hard to know what happens after that, but I'll take that to start with. Imagine a much smarter world where if politicians say things that are false, the citizens say, that's not true.
A question regarding the space. Right now, our focus of attention is very much concentrated, to our day-to-day lives. Do you believe one day we would really, have a complete synergy that will not just be like it is right now, a very little portion of our, investments, to look at the stars and to try to do something, expanding, growing, searching, making maybe that opportunity of an alternative, of a choice?
It's very, very expensive and hard to deal with space. What I've learned is the reality is that for the rest of my lifetime, we're going to be very focused on getting our very precious world preserved, completely connected, and get everything we can out of human beings.
When we are looking at all the type of energies we are using on our day-to-day consumption, do you feel that innovation can really, be understood in a way to make a very strong and bold statement to respect our ecosystem that is welcoming you? Do you feel that humanity as a whole can be in harmony?
I do, and governments need to respect that new ideas and entrepreneurs are the key way that create jobs, to create wealth. It's always been true. You take a static country where they don't allow for innovation, they don't allow for new ideas, they slowly die. Right? You have to accommodate, you have to allow for the new young people. They have to have jobs, they have to have an opportunity to make their mark, and it's always been true. The internet is a way of making that happen faster, but the political systems have to encourage innovation and entrepreneurship.
Eric, you are involved in innovation, in creativity, in philanthropy. Do you believe that the new way of thinking is really, to have that dear to the heart, to make the understanding and actions that money, investment have really to flow, to generate something and to share the sake of the journey for the new generation?
Well, we are all successful because people early made big bets on us. They took scarce money and they said, we're going to give these guys a shot. And look at how successful that's been. All of my life has been because people were willing to take financial bets and technological bets on ideas that could and ultimately were very successful. It's very important that those opportunities remain for the next generation. So I'm absolutely convinced the people I talk with today have even better ideas than I had. So I know that it's possible. It's just a matter of whether the governments will allow it.
Eric, if you had a message for the citizen of the world, what will be that message?
Everyone I know wants a great education for their children, safe food, good water, a good and good life for their family. The best way to get that is to make the world completely connected and invest in education and entrepreneurship. The connectivity allows us to see the bad things, keeps us safer, as well as take advantage of new ideas from neighboring places. The education comes over the internet, and the entrepreneurship creates new businesses and new jobs. You take a business that was local in a village, and now it's regional or national. You take a regional company that was successful, in France or in Europe or in the United States, and all of a sudden it's global. In every case, the entrepreneur wins. And with that entrepreneurship comes jobs, innovation, branding, spending, and all the money that we need to provide for old people, healthcare, and all that kind of stuff.
Eric, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
It's our great pleasure to have you at Horyou Village, and looking forward
to be here. And
on
congratulations on this fantastic show.
All the best. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.